Hello, my name is Christopher NASI, and today I will be talking about food scarcity in the world today. As we look back through time, it has been very clear that the supply of food, or the lack thereof, can have devastating effects on society. The population is growing exponentially, and people around the world are beginning to worry how we will feed this amount of people. Despite the amount of people who are worried, there are not nearly enough people who are concerned or even aware of the subject. However, we cannot simply place the blame on growing population. Lack of awareness, income distribution, and environmental challenges also factor into the equation. Greater awareness of the situation, genetically modified foods, and stricter energy regulation are all methods that would aid in our attempt to limit this crisis. Using technology to modify crops and stricter regulation on water are both examples of these methods. However, these methods would not be definitive solutions and would certainly help when crisis occurs. It is needless to say that malnutrition and hunger play a huge role in the amount of deaths per year. Unfortunately, hunger-related diseases occur mostly in places that cannot afford to provide aid to those suffering. Scientists have estimated that up to 1 billion people are going hungry at any given time. Studies have also shown that up to 16,000 children die from hunger-related diseases daily. We as a generation cannot take these statistics lightly, especially since we have the ability to make a change. One very unsettling attribute of food scarcity is its ability to cause civil unrest in the form of food riots. A food riot is an expression of competing claims over a limited food supply. Reports of food riots have been clearly evident throughout history. Some reports date as far back as the Qing dynasty. During this time, chronic food shortages drove prices of food up tremendously, which then led to rioting in the streets. The Egyptian bread riots in 1977 are another example of how the lack of or uneven distribution of food can cause civil unrest and rioting. The citizens of Egypt reacted similarly and attacked markets, shops, and government buildings in order to attain food. Looking to the future, the unfortunate trend of food riots will only continue or may even get worse if nothing is done to prevent it. The common occurrence of food riots is a major reason why a solution to combat this issue must be discovered. A key method to helping the cause is to know what factors contribute to worldwide hunger. Greater awareness of the severity of the situation at hand is absolutely necessary to discover solutions. Many people are aware of hunger in the world today, but have no idea how it could affect oncoming generations. Greater awareness could also increase funding for these projects. One key contributor to scarcity is massive population growth. In countries around the world, people are living longer and more children are being born. This puts heavy strain on resources available to support these people. The world population is growing at an extreme rate, and food production is not able to keep up with its growth. Unfortunately, countries that cannot support growing populations are the very same countries that are expected to experience the very same growth in oncoming years. Although many blame population growth as the main cause of hunger, it cannot have this issue placed solely on its shoulders. Distribution of income is also a factor that contributes heavily to the growing epidemic of hunger. Many of the poorer countries are the countries that experience hunger epidemics due to the rising cost of food. Most parents in these countries do not make enough money to fully feed and support their families to begin with. Once the price of food increases exponentially, matters only become worse, and the number of hungry citizens only continues to grow. Food price inflation occurs commonly when natural disasters have an effect on the food supply. The effects of natural disasters can be catastrophic to large areas and remain totally in the hands of nature. Natural disasters are occurring more often and leave those who are already having a poor food supply in even greater danger. Improvements in risk information and early warning systems could greatly benefit those in danger. Stricter regulations on dangerous lands and upgrades in physical infrastructure could also come of great use. Without these improvements, People in these dangerous areas are left completely exposed to nature's worst occurrences. Though uncontrollable, natural disasters cannot be ignored as a cause for food shortages in the world. Solutions and improvements must be made in this field in order to have a well-rounded approach to global hunger. Using technology to help solve food insecurity has helped save millions of lives in the past. The concept of using technology in the food gained so much steam that it became known as the Green Revolution. One major pioneer of the Green Revolution was Norman Borlaug, who developed a strain of wheat that was resistant to many diseases and yielded a large amount of wheat. There were some who recognized Borlaug as a man who saved more lives than any other man who has ever lived. Using technology to go about helping food insecurities has the ability to continue the trend this man started. However, like many other ideas, the Green Revolution has not come without reproach. Many people are against the use of pesticides in food, or the development of certain high-resistant strain of crops. These people are against food technology and believe food needs to be kept all natural. Though genetically modified foods are not without flaws, they could yield a multitude of benefits and help create a solution to the lack of food. Many people fear that with growing populations and the continuous rise of energy bills, farmers will not be able to produce enough food to support oncoming generations. Stronger regulations and policies can help ensure farmers will be able to produce enough food to be able to properly sustain a food supply for the population. Regulation on irrigation would also help greatly with the conservation of resources. Studies have shown that farmers waste large amounts of water and apply more fertilizer than these plants can even use. These extra fertilizers and water run off the fields and pollute nearby water supplies, such as lakes and rivers. The resulting pollution and soil erosion then becomes an extra cost that the government has to account for. One major key to the stricter regulations is that they be put in place without placing too much strain on the poor. Stricter regulations tend to raise the prices of all products. If these regulations were put in place without the poor in mind, the government would essentially be causing the problem of food price inflation on the poor. Scarcity of food has played and will continue to play a major part in society. Malnutrition and other hunger-related diseases have accounted for far too many deaths to continue to be ignored. Greater awareness of the situation at hand is absolutely necessary. As was stated before, these are not definitive solutions to this problem, but these are methods and programs that can provide aid to those who are in need when these problems do arise. The topic of food scarcity cannot continue to be ignored, or it will truly continue to haunt the world in the future. We must start to act now, before the next generations have to pay the price.